I will do. Okay, awesome. I might even try to do this weekly from now on. If people are feeling like hanging out, we can talk about anything and go over Q&A if you'd like. So, right, please record the session. Yes, I sure will. Hands in too many pies. Yes, add you on LinkedIn. Okay, all right, I'll do that. Thank you, Ali. Dubai Thursday morning over here. Welcome. Yes. Terrific. All right. Awesome. So power of LinkedIn, feel free to jump in with whatever questions that you guys have. I'll just give you the very briefest of intros of why LinkedIn has been so powerful for me in my life. I was working at Best Buy. It was 2014. I was making $12 an hour. Some of you have already heard the story, and really bad spot. Didn't know what to do. Couldn't find anyone to hire me. Had a baby on the way. And I made a bet on LinkedIn. I said, you know what? I need to become visible. I need to have opportunities come find me. And I didn't know how to do that. All I knew was how to put opportunities, or for me to go to opportunities as opposed to opportunities coming to me. I said, I need leverage. How do I get leverage? And that leverage was LinkedIn and the visibility of LinkedIn. It started with the profile, and then it continued with the content creation. And it is precisely the thing that has set me free to do what I most want to do right now. And I had landed a role at American Express after my time at Best Buy. And then after American Express, while I was there, that's when I really started kind of doubling down on LinkedIn. I even did a couple talks on LinkedIn at the time. I didn't even know that much about it. All I knew is that people need to realize how powerful this platform is. This is amazing. But it really hadn't even affected my life yet. I just knew that it could, or at least I thought it could. So Amazon called me out of the blue because of my LinkedIn profile. They asked me if I wanted to go to this hiring event. They said, hey, do you want to come and hang out at this, 2-day thing? I said, sure. What am I going to be doing? They said, don't worry, we're going to figure it out. So I went through the loops of, hiring. I got the job on a Friday at 5 p.m. And I said, oh my God, I got to move to Seattle. This is crazy, crazy offer. It's like life-changing money. And then from there, I just kept the content creation going, the networking strategies going. And so I'll just touch on a lot of the things that I learned about the profile, the networking, and the content creation tonight. And feel free to ask any questions that you have. I'm going to close this door real quick. And what I like to think about this is three main buckets: so completing your profile, connecting with people, building a strong network, and capitalizing on that network. Now you can capitalize on that network through content creation. Some people don't want to do that. That's totally fine. They're just data points for you to take along your journey. So for me, when I think about completing your profile, we want to make sure that you have an all-star profile. The way to do that is by logging into your LinkedIn profile and double checking if you have one of these status messages there. You're either beginner or all-star. Now, the reason why it's so important to have all-star, and I'm going to put my product manager hat on for a moment. Having an all-star profile means that from a searchability standpoint, you are going to be found far more frequently. There's actually a lot of data points that point to your search strength drastically increases if you have an all-star profile. Because think about it from LinkedIn's perspective. Who do they want to show? They want to show LinkedIn as a platform and the search results in the best light possible, right? They want to show people who have everything filled in, who have all their information, who have a picture, who have a banner image, all that stuff, because not only does it help with relevancy, but it shows a quality user experience overall. So that's very important. Now, there's a couple key elements that you need for an all-star profile. It's very easy. LinkedIn even walks you through the process. It's just having a profile picture, having a headline, a summary description, work experience, skills, industry, education, and 50 connections. That's it. That's it. So, and if you ever get lost, you just click on your profile of what your profile status is, and they encourage you to get your profile up to a level that is an all-star. So you get shown higher in search results. Now, profile photos. I see really bad profile photos all the time. And it's not a bad individual. It has nothing to do with the individual itself. It's just the photo itself conveys a lot, right? It's not your look. It's literally just, are you smiling? Do you look personable? That's it. Right. And sometimes we have, photos of people golfing or doing other things, or terrible lighting, this guy with the glowing eyes, right? I see a lot of these really dark photos sometimes. And then look at the comparison, the difference right here. There's so many apps online that allow you to take a photo of yourself and knock out the background, right? You really want to just pop, because it's the first thing you see. And I'll put my product manager hat on again. The things at the top of a LinkedIn profile are the things that are most relevant and most important for LinkedIn. The things that are at the bottom are the least important. They're the least searched. We call them, as product managers, below the fold and above the fold. There's things at the top. So usually when you see the things at the top, like the big banner, the big image, the big headline, the most critical things to get right when it comes to recruiters coming in and saying, yeah, looks like a friendly person, right? That's all you're trying to convey. There's a website called PhotoFeeler. Photofeeler.com. You can do a free assessment on photofeeler.com, and that website will give you statistical significance on what other people think your profile picture conveys. Now, you could pay $9. Now, this is me paying $9. I think it's highly worth it. I had a t-shirt on, right? I'm in tech. I had a t-shirt on. I blurred out the background. I was smiling, and I tested a number of photos, and this is the photo that actually turned out the best. And this is the one that I've kept on my profile for the past 2.5 years. So something to, something to test out if, given specifically that it's an above the fold feature, and it's one of the most visible things both on mobile and desktop. There's a couple headline strategies that I like to bucketize into. One of those headline strategies is keep it simple. Another one is 3 key takeaways. And then for me, another one is a catchphrase. Okay, so now I've changed my headline, this part in the box right here, numerous times. Feel free to experiment with it, right? Feel free to try, different variations. Just know too that mobile truncates, desktop does not. Most people are on mobile. If you look at the data on most applications, no matter what they are, mobile users are usually way higher. Everyone's attached to the hip with their phones. So you want to prioritize the most important stuff at the front and check it as you change it to see what actually gets truncated or not. Because sometimes people put something very important within that lit mix and they think that's going to be seen, and unfortunately is not seen by anyone. It's just a ... So on a mobile device specifically. So now here's Ramona. Ramona is, she was at Amazon, and I picked out this profile because I wanted to show you the difference here of what happens in mobile, what happens in desktop. Now, Ramona chose to put more of her about section stuff in here, which is often a mistake I see, as opposed to just a straight headline. This is what you do and what you care about in as few words as possible. And so for me, when I think about keep it simple, it's job title, comma, company, dash, something, right? There's 2 things you might care about, right? That you want to convey. Maybe one additional thing. I put man on a mission. I had a particular mission. I've had a mission for a long time. I've been talking to people about building financial freedom. How do we help people build financial freedom, right? So when they look at it and say, man on a mission, they go, well, what is he on a mission for? And they read my about section. So it's kind of a hook to get people to read a little bit more about me. But the reason why we put our specific job title in there now, which is the default functionality for LinkedIn, by the way, but people like to change it. And they say like information technology leader. Here's the problem with that. It's not searchable, right? LinkedIn is the world's biggest search engine for recruiters. Search functionality is critically important. And what is it driven off of? Job title. And what are recruiters wanting? Location, job title, industry, right? So they're filtering, trying to find people. And so if you do not have a title that they can anchor upon, if you do not claim something, then it's very difficult to be found. So 3 key takeaways. I've done this strategy as well. Senior PM Amazon, career coach, content creator, public speaker. Things change over time. I mean, this is a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I wasn't even really doing any real estate related stuff. Now I've changed my headline, financial freedom through real estate. And I'm not in corporate anymore. The job title for me isn't as important because I'm not in that world. But when I was, or if I ever went back, I would absolutely make sure that I have my job title in the front. Okay. So then we have the catchphrase. I see a lot of people with some cool catchphrases. Just remember, you can't be found that way in a very easy fashion, right? So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Let me just make sure if we have any questions. Yeah, everybody, we are recording. Don't worry. There is a mailing list. I will make sure that I get this out to everyone as far as the recordings for all 4 weeks. I'll just kind of like dump them into one primary email. I want to build what you have, John. Hopefully you share some insight. Absolutely, Aubrey. That's what I'm here for. So if you have any specific questions, please, hit me with those questions here in the comments. What if you don't want the content you post to be associated with your company? This is a critical thing, very critical. Okay. I've seen others say not to include your current company in the headline for this reason. All right. If you're looking for a job, then having your job title in your headline is important. If you're not right now looking for a job, it's important to not have your job title in there. I used to take, frankly, a lot of heat when I was at Amazon for posting content. I have a particular worldview, if you will, for corporate. I think it's a very strange game that gets played. I hate the games. I hate the discrepancies of salaries. On the coaching side, when I'm working with a lot of people, I see those discrepancies, right? I see people's low salaries for what they're getting paid as compared to somebody else who did or did not advocate for themselves, right? Like I see this stuff all the time. So I see the underbelly of what's going on with corporate a lot. And so I have some cynicism, if you will. But anyway, so while I was taking heat, I said, okay, what can I do to minimize the heat? And the best way I could find to minimize the heat was to remove the job title from my headline. And when I posted content, it wasn't like John, as a representative of this company, is saying this. That's what companies get scared about. But keep in mind that your LinkedIn profile is your LinkedIn profile. It is yours. It is not associated to the company you work for. This is a space where you can talk about the things you want to talk about and attract a community and attract recruiters, if you will, to your world to find more opportunities. And so you just have to find this fine balance of, if I'm really going after a job, then I have a content strategy related to me going after a job. Once I get a job, I can shift, start talking about some of the things I want to do, but then removing the job title from the headline so that you don't take heat. But we'll get into that a little bit further here. What do recruiters type on their end to find good headlines to make candidates searchable? So recruiters have a tool. It's called, it's not Sales Navigator. If you guys know what the name of the tool is, I forgot exactly, but it's a tool that they pay for. It's like an enterprise software tool that gives tons of search fields. The first thing somebody's going to do is search potentially by location. Now, maybe because of COVID, they're not necessarily searching by location, but they're searching by specific job titles. They're myopically focused on finding people who are exactly the thing that they need. That's first. If they can't find somebody exactly who they need, they're going to start looking elsewhere. They're going to start kind of poking for people who have backgrounds that might be a fit. But the first place I'm going to look as a recruiter is I'm going to look for perfect fit. Remember, recruiter, quota. That's my goal. I got to make quota. So what's the easiest thing for me to make quota? Finding people who are exactly what the job description is. Let's see. Okay. I've heard some advocate put a job title for the job you want. Seems fraudulent. Natty, great question. It's not that here's what you could do. You can say, and there's nuances and sensitivities to all of this stuff. Because if you're currently working for an employer and they see your LinkedIn content a lot, or they see you changing your title, then all of a sudden you're taking heat from your company, even though you're trying to grow or maybe pivot into another industry or something like that, right? So I can't speak to that, right? There's a lot of things that we have to deal with there. But if you have the ability to put something in your headline like aspiring this, that's very helpful, right? You're aspiring to that. Or you could say program management, product management. You can then explain your situation in your about section, right? So you have to address, this person's been this and this and this, but their title says this. What's the first thing your recruiter is going to do? They're going to go, I don't get it. So then they're going to read your about section and try to figure it out. And you could say, I've been doing this and this and this. My skills are directly related to this other field that I'm aspiring towards. I could deliver a ton of value from day one, and here's why. And a lot of people who are business analysts will say, oh, geez, I don't know how I can be a product manager. It's like, man, business analysts make incredible product managers because they're data centric. They're already diving into the data every day. And so sometimes people don't necessarily see how their value is bridged into another type of role, but you can wrestle with it. Remember, you can always change your stuff around. I'll give you some templates that you can possibly use to think through what your about section could be here. Let's see. Should you have multiple profiles for different interests you have? For example, I'm in corporate audit, but I know a lot about risk management and business management. What to do? Corporate audit, risk management, risk and audit are actually very similar, Francis, if you think about it. And I would not deviate from a singular LinkedIn profile. I would actually try to keep one profile, and you can say that you have knowledge in a bunch of different areas. That's what I do. I mean, look, I talk about real estate. I talk about career related stuff. I talk about personal branding. I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. I think the beauty of that in this world of content creation is that at some point, it's you feel as if you gravitate more towards one thing versus the other. And it's almost like your own truth detector, right? The more you write, the more you clarify your own thinking, and the more you clarify what you want in life. And I think that for me is the beauty of content creation. If nothing else, I become a better speaker. I become a better writer. And then, and more opportunities come to me based on the topics that I'm talking about. But it's hard enough to maintain one solid profile, let alone having multiple. I don't necessarily think it's a great idea, but hey, that's just my opinion on it. Let's see. Okay, so before I jump into more questions, I'm going to just kind of keep going with some of the slides because I think some of the questions will be answered there. Another tactic, very common that I'm seeing recently. If you have a side hustle or something else that you're doing, you can say, I help people do X to solve Y. You are known for doing that. So you can deploy that. Summary section. There's first 2 lines, 2-3 lines, and then everything else. First 2 lines on mobile. Keep in mind, if LinkedIn thought that everything in the about section was critically important for their users, they would have it fully expanded. But they realize, probably based on a number of data points that they have internally, that most people are not clicking beyond or reading a whole the about section. So we're going to hide most of it. We're going to hide everything except the first 2 or 3 lines. So what I have to do as a user, as a profile holder, is I have to ensure that I say something there that gets me to click. Okay, so I used to say most people go through life lost, disengaged, and unhappy at work. I'm on a mission to solve that. How? Show more. All right, you create something compelling to see more. Now, I look at creating a hook. Okay, so it's just like reading a great book or watching a movie trailer. Great authors always talk about the hook for the reader. You can create a sentence that's like mid-sentence, mid-consciousness. And people are like, whoa, wait, I want to read more. What's going on, right? That's what we're trying to create here. And I think about it as a purpose, a promise, a punctuated list, a passion project, some kind of provocative statement or a point in time. And I'll go over these things right now. Shay Robotham, very popular content creator on LinkedIn, probably one of the more well-known, I would bet to say, individuals on LinkedIn. And now what she does is she says, I turn founders and executives into LinkedIn video creators. She bet she staked everything on that statement. So people go to her profile and go, I want to be a video creator too. And that's what she taught everybody how to do. And she made a ton of money doing it. So here's her promise. You know how executives and entrepreneurs struggle to generate revenue through LinkedIn and content? Yeah, a lot of people struggle on LinkedIn to get to their target market. That's where she comes in. I turn founders and executives into LinkedIn creators that generate massive revenue for their organization. Great. She's promising that she can deliver that for you. Right. Now, if you're in a corporate setting, it's a little bit different. Okay. Just think about each of these can give you some ideas of how you can make your own particular mashup. Me, right? This is my statement. I'm on a mission to solve that. I have a purpose, some kind of purpose statement. The summary can sometimes devolve into a boring resume rundown. That's not what we ultimately don't want to do that. Now, if you need to fill some space, go ahead and do it. Make your first iteration, just fill it up, put some of your top achievements in there. That's okay. But we want to try to separate out things and not have walls of text. When we read things, some of the most successful posts on LinkedIn, in fact, are posts that have a lot of separation, right? It's like 2 sentences and then space, space, 1 sentence, maybe a question, space, space, little small paragraph, space, space, right? So when I think about this, I think about it as three elements, and I'm hooking the reader with one of these, okay? Point in time, passion project, purpose, something like that, okay? And then I'm telling a story, Why did I give the hook in the first place? What's my purpose here? I spent 10 years as a founder of this company, blah, blah, blah. At 31, I was penniless, had a baby on the way, no job prospects, applied to a bunch of companies, couldn't figure it out, had to work for Best Buy, $12 an hour. Right? After graduation, I landed at American Express, Amazon in 2017. My journey has led to X, right? I'm on a mission to solve this stuff because of what I went through. There's a couple other sections. You could have some FAQs, right? How does a recruiter get a hold of me? Great, here's my contact, this, right? The best place to get a hold of me is my cell, right? Shoot me a text, right? Or my email, or message me on Instagram. Here's my profile. A lot of people say, hey man, can I pick your brain for 10 minutes? I'm like, no, no, that hurts, man. But a lot of people are reaching out like that. I'm like, look, I can't. I have so many people reaching out. I encourage you to check out like all this other free content or my website or what have you. I leave some fun facts there about what I love doing, who I am, and then how to connect with me at the end. Right, so some kind of call to action at the end. Banner images, a couple really great ones. You could look at mine as well. I went to, I think it was Fiverr.com, Fiverr, Fiverr. And it's a place that you can hire a bunch of freelancers there. If you type in LinkedIn banner, you'd spend about $15, get a really awesome LinkedIn banner created. They'll send you like 4 or 5 versions of that banner. But here's a couple of really interesting ones. And hold on one second, I'm gonna open this window. Some people want to show their social proof. Some people aspire to be a public speaker. They have one photo of them doing a small talk or something like that. Great, put that on there. Some people just want to show their personality. You have Michaela Alexis on the bottom here. She's showing that she's smiling. She's public speaking. There's Rachel has 3 key takeaways, right? She talks about entrepreneurship, community, and LinkedIn video. Those are her 3 themes. So on one of the questions before, it's like, yeah, I want to talk about a couple things. Should I create different profiles? No, you don't have to. You can create different buckets and say, I talk about this, this, and this. And if one of those changes, feel free to change your profile, right? It's your profile. You change it up however you want. Banner templates, canva.com, awesome company out of Australia. You can get a free trial for 30 days. I think it costs me $12 a month. I use this website all the time for design related templates and what have you. You can use it for content creation templates. You can use it for banner images. I use it for YouTube thumbnails, like flyers, resume stuff. I mean, like there's so much in there right now for $12 a month. It's probably one of my favorite websites. Experience section. Okay, so achievements and a story. What have you learned? Sometimes you can't necessarily blatantly talk about your achievements, right? Because you're using like company related data and you don't want a lot of other people to see those things. Okay, so in those type of scenarios, no problem. You put your job titles in there, but you can also talk about, there's a notes section, right? This little pencil icon allows you to put a bunch of rich information. If you created a presentation within your company, great, show it. If there are a number of company videos that are associated to what you specifically do in that role, or like marketing related collateral in that role, great, post those for the thing. One of my good buddies, Tim Salau, he does an excellent job at this. Every role he's had, he used to be the chief evangelist at WeWork before they imploded. Every role he had, he always put the things that were top of mind for him, the things he was learning and growing with. And I found that really unique. I've never seen that before, but it's a great way to say, like, I'm at Amazon, here's a team I'm on, These are the main things I'm focused on learning and how I'm focused on growing as an individual. You know, people really respect that. So also, if it's a company that that is not extremely well known, then no problem. Put a nice big summary about what the company does and what team you specifically work on within that organization. If it's a multinational company like Chase or something, well, great. Cool that you work at Chase, but do you have a department in Chase and a sub-department in Chase? Like, what's your specialty within that group? Any kind of context that you can provide a recruiter is great, because that's what they're doing all day is landing on profiles and searching for people who are the right fit. So give them everything that you can. Oh yeah, I forgot that I even included in this. So look at this. So WeWork global brand evangelist. Now Tim has moved on from this. He's focused right now on doing a lot of music. He's not in corporate anymore, but he is one of the most skilled individuals when it comes to social media that I have encountered, especially when it comes to LinkedIn, because here he put all these videos and PDFs. He even put screenshots of comments from his posts. Look at who he is. He's the global brand evangelist. So what does a brand evangelist do? They get people excited about stuff. That's their goal. They give talks, they get people excited. Well, look at this. Tim, Mr. Future at Work. Let's see. You make me want to work for WeWork. Your excitement for the company is rubbing off and I'm starting to become familiar with something about the Atlanta events. It's a little truncated there, but anyway, right? Like you're giving social proof to the social proof from your community where you took a screenshot of from your content. That's really cool. I mean, I just when I saw that he was doing that at first, I was like, oh, this is really neat. So definitely try to use a couple of these tactics, and maybe some of them can feel like, oh my gosh, there's too many things here, but you could definitely rewatch the video and grab a few of them. So here's my prior experience at EOS Controls. You would look at it and go, what on earth is EOS Controls? It's not well known. So I describe what it is, the whole thing. Smart home technology company, software and hardware, specializing in X. Great. So somebody came to my profile, they would know. Other elements of the profile, we have our skills, industry, education, connections, and recommendations. We don't have to talk about them really, because the industry and location are things you can just pop in your profile. And education, I would say one comment for education. You can use the education section to describe what you're learning as well. Here's the relevant coursework related to the roles that I'm interested in pursuing or the roles that I currently have. It just ties everything together to the main theme of your profile. Now, some people ask me about recommendations, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but here's what Tim did. And he graduated with a master's. Here's the skills he's acquired. He even tagged them with top hashtags so that that could be searchable. And a couple articles he wrote, or a couple class assignments that are related to his educational background. So I really like how he tackled that. Okay, so that was just the LinkedIn profile side. I'll stop sharing this. I can pull up another one, but in the moment, I will see what kind of questions you guys have. Let's see. Okay, we got a lot of them. I'm gonna go from the bottom here. How do you drop your LinkedIn URL in conversation comment section during a webinar session on a virtual event? Okay. This is an interesting one. The LinkedIn, let me see if I can even do it. I feel like I'm on the spot right now. Let's see. It's so weird to find your LinkedIn URL. I don't know why they make it so hard. Let's see here. I have so many messages. Okay. You go to, oh man, you know what? Let's see, profile view. Yes. Edit public profile and URL. Okay. So there you go. And then from there, right there. So if you ever want to put it, if you want to see mine, there it is. I'll pop it in the comments if that even allows me to. That's very weird. All, yes, I want to send this. Why does it not allow me to? All is not in this meeting. Oh, okay, yeah, that's very weird. Hold on, everyone in this meeting. Yeah. There we go. Let's see. So it won't seem weird, just including in the chat. Let's see, is the advice to, when you change careers, how do you write under each position? Let's see, is this advice tailored more for solopreneurs, and can this work for landing a job? Absolutely can land for landing a job. That's where we're talking about the headline, which is really important. The about section, you have to talk about why you care about the thing you're doing. Okay. So if you're in a job, why does somebody want to hire you? Right. It's the classic Simon Sinek. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Why did you become a business analyst? What do you care about data? Well, why do you care about data? Why did you become a product manager? Right. Now, granted, some people are like, look, I really could care less. I just want a job. And that's perfectly fine as well. Right? Like, that's fine. But you have to create something compelling for somebody to want to reach out to you because they have 650 million possible options on LinkedIn. So you have to find a way to stand out. It's definitely for landing a job, or it can be for solopreneurs. So all these tips can be tweaked either direction. When you change careers, how to write under each position as they are different from the target job. Change careers, how to write under each position as they're different from target job. Are you, let's see, Akila, are you talking about changing positions within the same company? Because if so, LinkedIn allows you to have one company title with a bunch of jobs stacked under it. So I don't know if that was the,
no.
Okay.
No, for example, I worked as a quality manager and now I'm working as a PMO professional, which is like different.
Okay.
I don't know how to write under the quality manager because that is very different from working in projects or managing projects.
So your the quality side of things, when was that?
That was from 2018 to 2020.
So people move up and move around all the time. I guess maybe I don't quite understand the question. It's like, are you trying to find a way to show that those skills are relevant to your newest role?
Yeah, I have transferable skills, but I don't know how to enter that with numbers because people tell me, okay, you have to put the numbers, only then that acts as a proof that you did something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So are you talking about numbers from your previous role?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's an example. Like, what's something you're proud about achieving or proud about doing within your previous role?
Well, I've always had 95% audit score every year out of 100.
Okay. Okay. And so when you joined the company, what's the audit score before?
85.
Okay. Year. So you have a baseline of 85. You went to 95. What is that doing for the company?
It increases, obviously, the branding that the company sells the product, telling we are like 95% compliant with what we produce, and it eventually translates into increased revenue as well.
Okay. So here's the thing: we can estimate or make rough approximations of what the estimated revenue might be in those scenarios. You can kind of create back of the envelope numbers and say, okay, so there's a revenue component to this. What could it be? How many users do we have? What's the cost per user? How many users do we have in a year? What would be the impact if 10% of our users are gone? And you can start thinking through all those questions. And at first you might be like, man, I have no idea. But if you back into one number, it's like, it's like math from middle school, right? There's an X, you have to solve for X. So you have one number and you don't have another. You got to figure out, well, how do I get this number so that at least I can approximate the other one?
Okay.
So it's none of this is easy. I don't want that to seem like it is. And I don't want anyone to seem like you, because sometimes when I say you're making a rough approximation, people are like, well, you're not certain. It's like most companies don't necessarily want you to be certain. They want you to think in a certain way to get to the data. Okay. If somebody says, how did you know that you achieved this thing? You could say, well, actually, I know that the baseline was 85% before. I know that I'm now at 95%. I am certain that I moved the needle from 85 to 95%. They're going to ask why. And you're going to have an answer for that. And I also know that we have a certain number of users. Now, I wasn't necessarily close to the data on users, what have you, because I was in this quality role. Okay. And our metrics were a little bit different, but I can make a rough approximation for you. And here's how I know. And people go, oh, okay. Seems very logical. They just want to see that somebody has a logical path to thinking about numbers and data. You don't have to be a pro. I am no pro on data. I really hate Excel spreadsheets, but I can ask the right questions and try to come up with approximations.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I think it's an important one. I really wanted to touch on that because I think people do get lost on like, how do I quantify the stuff I did? That's the biggest question I usually get.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. If a person is not working, still the person have to show the most recent position as current. Recruiters don't reach people if position is not current. Okay, Vinita. Yeah, they don't like seeing gaps. There's this weird stuff about whether it's current or not. The best thing that I can say is if there's a gap, ask yourself the question, what would a recruiter be confused about in my profile? And how would I address that confusion up front so that they have no more questions? And I can do that through my about section, right? Currently making a transition from X to Y. Here's the rationale. Took a 2-year gap. Maybe it's a health concern. Maybe I was having a kid or something else. And now I'm, shifting back into the workforce or whatever. So that may not necessarily be your situation, but you have to think about it as like, if I have a gap, how do I address it? What questions might I get hit with? And then I can create answers to those on my profile as best as I can. Can you tell us about the use of the hashtags? Which section should they go in if you're not a content creator, but rather want to be more visible to recruiters? Okay, let me pull up another element of the presentation here, and maybe we can dive into some of those pieces. Give me just a moment. Okay, let's see. I think I gave you guys like a truncated presentation. I'll send you the real one here. The one that's longer. Okay, connect. Okay, yes, here it is. Okay, I think this is pretty relevant for everyone here. Let me share my screen. I'll definitely get to some of your other questions. All right. Share screen. Okay, great. So you should see this screen right here. All right. So I like to think about connecting with people as three parts. I comment, I create conversation, then I create a connection. It's those three stages. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn who are visible, who are trying to create their own personal brands or be public speakers or try to elevate their name so that they can gain higher titles or collaborate with other individuals in their industry. So it doesn't just have to be the solopreneur world, right? It's I want to be on a stage speaking about product management because maybe I want to write a book about product management, or maybe eventually I want to create a school on product management, or maybe I just want to be a director of product management or a VP of product management one day, right? So maybe that's your goal. Well, a lot of people trying to be visible on LinkedIn. It's becoming a lot more popular. Content creation is becoming more normalized on the platform. And so whether you want to land an awesome job, whether you want to build a network, have some coffee chats, do some referrals, we can do all of that through this. So when you see a post, I am telling you guys the most important takeaway of this right here is that if you want a job at a top tech company, the hiring actually goes on in the comments section of LinkedIn. It goes on in the comments section of LinkedIn. It's no longer apply and pray. Now you can apply and you can pray, or you can apply with a very tailored resume. You can get through the door that way as well if you want to. But actually, where recruiters are going is they're going to the comments. Okay. And so a lot of these hiring managers who are creating content, they're constantly looking for good talent. So here is a great example. And this doesn't just work for me. Okay. Head of product, Uber Aviation. And this is like 2 years ago when I was still at Amazon. When was it? 2019? God, it's probably a while ago, 3 years ago now. We shared this post. At the time, there's only about 100 reactions to the post. Okay. And as soon as I commented on this post, I got a DM from him. Hey man, I'm hiring product leaders interested. Yeah, sure. Let's connect. He goes to my profile. He sees my about section. He sees what I care about. He sees what content I care about at the time. At the time, I was creating tons of content for job seekers. So he saw my leadership components through my content. And he was like, great, this is awesome. Amy Schultz, product recruiting lead at LinkedIn. Now she's product recruiting lead at Canva, actually. And she and I have had a couple conversations, just talking about, the state of affairs in corporate and what have you. And great person. She posted some content before I even knew her. And I responded back to one of her posts, really insightful comment about some artificial intelligence. Within 24 hours, I get a message from Bell at LinkedIn about me possibly joining. So now I was teaching a class just like this last year. And I was telling people that the real game of landing a role is in the comment section. People are like, what? No way. I'm like, okay, yeah, try it. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a couple days, see what happens. So Bianca was in my class. She's in the military. She has zero tech experience whatsoever. Okay. She was working on some like submarines, totally unrelated field, in fact. And we were helping her kind of change her positioning. She was searching for people who were already creating content on LinkedIn, hiring managers and leaders and other, employees within some of these companies. And she created this really insightful comment on this guy's article, in fact. And articles don't seem to get as much traction as posts. So it's actually even better to comment on somebody's article because there's less reactions, less noise, and that comment goes directly to someone's phone. It's incredibly powerful. Okay. It's direct line of communication to that individual. They see something insightful, and inherently people want to have people like their stuff. They take a long time to create it in many cases. And so they love when people say, yeah, I really resonate, or what have you, and create conversations. So look at what happens. I saw you read and left a reaction to my article on why I worked at AWS and passionate about diversity and inclusion here. And she talked about diversity and inclusion in the comment. This person became her mentor, and helped her get through the stages of the hiring process at Amazon. They had a coffee chat, turned into a friendship, and then things went from there. So it doesn't just work for like the Amazon guy, and it can work for anybody, as long as your title and your LinkedIn profile look tight. Then people are going to go, oh, I know what this person does. And you want to try to stay away from on your LinkedIn profile stuff like, I do marketing and I do sales and I do this and this and this, because what the education system does is it says we need to be well-rounded. Great, right? Like in theory, that's a great concept, but in corporate, it doesn't work that way. Nobody wants you to be well-rounded. They only want you to be a hyper specialist in something. The only way you can get away with being well-rounded is if you're like the CEO of a company or a VP of a company. Right? If you say I've done sales and this and this and this, remember, those are all different disciplines. And all of a sudden the recruiter goes, you are a master of nothing. I have no idea where to put you. Instead, play the game, be a master of something, and just recognize behind the scenes that I can do a lot of stuff. I'm capable of a lot of stuff, but I recognize that they only want to see one thing about me, and that's okay. For now, I'm going to just play the game. Coffee chats, COVID. Super important. How do you reach out to people for jobs, for connecting, for whatever? Here's just a great way to approach it. You start in the comments, right? If you truly find a connection to what somebody is saying, truly, genuinely, then after a couple times of their post showing up in your feed and you commenting and having a conversation back and forth, all of a sudden you now have communication to them. Love the conversation we've been having. Let's trade some stories over virtual coffee. Now, what's the harm in that, right? We're the same person. We like the same things. Why not? Let's learn from each other. We're not talking about, hey, I need a job. Hey, I'm in your face. I need a job. No, no, no. I just want to have a cool chat with a cool person who believes what I believe. Right? We're all looking for human connection, especially in a time of COVID-19. So use that to your advantage, right? Many people, let's put it that way, love interacting with people that are not necessarily in their fields and building virtual connections. That's really what LinkedIn is all about. So anyone who is remotely active on LinkedIn has a much higher probability of having a great conversation or wanting to have a great conversation. Another one. I know we don't know each other directly, but I resonate with your message because of X and Y. It's more of a cold outreach. I'm 3 months away from completing my master's. I'd love to learn about your story. And if you're not on the education side of things, just take that piece off of there and say, I'd love to learn more about your story, journey, goals over Zoom for coffee. I'll time box it to 30 minutes. Let somebody know that you want to be respectful of their time, right? But you're not saying, I want to be respectful of your time, right? Because your time is super valuable too. So you just say, I time box it to 30 minutes and let's have a great conversation. And you know what? If you spend that whole time learning about that individual, all of a sudden at the end, they're going to ask you all about you. How can I help you? What are you struggling with? What are you going through? And all of a sudden you get a referral. And it happened organically from somebody who believes what you believe. Okay. Referrals at some of these organizations can be up to $10,000. So sometimes we're like, oh man, I want to reach out to somebody or whatever. Like they get paid. PS, a lot if they refer you in. Imagine the fact that they don't have to go through an entire recruiting cycle or pay a bunch of recruiters to get somebody in. All they got to do is pay you 10 grand or 5 grand, or, you know, if it's a junior individual, something maybe like 2 grand or $500, but it can be up to 10 grand or more if you're recruiting somebody in who's a senior individual. So if you ask for a referral, know that they're likely getting paid as long as you get in. And they're always looking for good talent. So from a cold outreach standpoint, there's a couple of rules of engagement. I don't like reaching out to recruiters. I think it's a waste of time. Recruiters are flooded by the same message from every single person. Hey, I'd love to have a chat. Hey, I'd love to have a chat. Hey, I'm great for this role. It's like all day, every day, they're getting hundreds of messages. It's a terrible place to go. It's the front of the club, if you will, right? It's the bouncer at the front of the club. I don't want to go to the bouncer. I want to find the back door. The back door is an employee who already works at the company, who probably creates content and or has some level of presence, has some level of polished profile, who's been on LinkedIn at some point, and you want to try to reach out to them directly instead and have a coffee chat and build a human connection with somebody on the inside who can help you navigate the waters, who is not a recruiter, because they don't get hit up all the time. So I do like to focus on people with followers, any followers at all, even if they have 500 or 1,000, great, prime target to reach out to. When I'm cold outreaching to an individual, I want to make sure that I let them know, and you can do this to a recruiter as well, right? I'm not saying don't totally ignore reaching out to a recruiter. I'm just saying they get flooded with traffic. So just be aware that you may have less luck there. But your best chance of success, if you're going to reach out to somebody cold, is say in the title, perfect fit, job ID. How much better can I be, right? Like, here's the job. I am a perfect fit. And here's my strong intel. I know we don't know each other. I'm wondering if you consider referring me for the following project manager position. I can deliver results from day one. I've said that statement a number of times, right? Because I feel that it's incredibly important to get that across, however you can get that across as far as your delivery goes. I have 8 years of experience, blah, 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 achieving the following results. Ideally, I want my results to be related to the role, okay? I'm saying I can deliver results from day one, but I'm also showing with data that I can deliver results from day one as well. And I'm making it brainless for them. Like, oh my gosh, I have this unbelievable candidate. I want to speak to them immediately. You know how most messages go? They go, hey, I'd love to chat with you about jobs. What do you have for me? No, don't make them work. You do the work. And make them work less. So here's some ways to capitalize on content creation. Now, you can do content creation as a solopreneur, entrepreneur. You can do it as a in the career space as well. I can tell you that if you do it in the career space, so many opportunities will come to you. It really is incredible. Like I wish like 7, 8 years ago, somebody would have like injected me with what I know today. And they would have said, hey, John, if you just do these steps right here, your life will drastically accelerate, right? Beyond your wildest dreams, it will drastically accelerate. There are only 0.001% of people on LinkedIn right now, over 650 million people and growing. I'm not sure the exact number today, that are actually creating content, 0.001%. It's like 30,000 people who are creating content on LinkedIn. That's it, worldwide. And so you have this incredible opportunity to unlock something that is 100% free to you to maximize your leverage. There was this quote that I saw, and I want to read this to you because it's from the Almanac of, oh geez, let me see. Naval, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, I believe. I'm probably screwing that pronunciation up, but very interesting read. Okay. And he says, forget rich versus poor, white collar versus blue. It's now leveraged versus unleveraged. The new currency in our day and age is leverage. Okay. So here's a platform, 650 million users, a couple 100 million of them are actually active in some capacity whatsoever. And then you have 0.001% of people actually creating any content whatsoever and growing a personal brand. Same goes for YouTube. The same goes for Instagram. You have a distribution of almost 99% consumer, 1% creator. So people always say, well, how could I do that for me? I'm from a solopreneur or I'm in a career space and grow a personal brand of some kind. It's like, because only 1% of people worldwide on any platform are creating anything. So you drastically increase your leverage and visibility. So couple different things. We're going to talk about types of content, personal brand, what should I post, inner critic, some things like that. Okay. And I'll go fairly quick through these, and then we can hit some targeted questions and finish up. Okay, everybody. So types of content, we know we have text, picture, video, article. Articles, they don't perform that well, honestly. Text post perform extremely well. Text post plus pictures, extremely well. Shares, something you can do when you're just getting started, or maybe you're a little bit nervous about creating any kind of content. The place to start is summarizing somebody else's post. Hey, I just saw this really interesting post. Here are the top 2 things I learned from it. Hope it can be helpful to you. That's it. Or here's the top 3 things I learned from it. What are your thoughts? Ending with a question, right? You're creating conversation. The algorithm of LinkedIn loves conversation. Same with YouTube, same with Instagram. They all work exactly the same. The more reactions, the more comments, the more likes, the more shares, the better that the algorithm thinks that the post is doing for the community, and it keeps showing it to larger and larger and larger audiences. And that's how things go viral on any platform. So one of the things that I think about when it comes to like a personal brand, I almost think it's like a weird term. Okay. I don't want to build a personal brand. I want to focus on sharing the journey that I have and the interests that I have. And all of a sudden, a story unfolds around me, a brand unfolds around me. Here are the things that this person cares about. If nothing else, you become a better speaker, you become a better writer. At best, you completely unlock a scenario of financial freedom for yourself, and you don't need a job. Okay. And I think that's what personal branding really does. So, what should I post? People have this expert syndrome in their heads. So they go, I can't possibly post about this thing because I'm not yet an expert. And it's the worst mindset to get into. It's just, here's what I learned. Here's what I love. You're following your energy. I love this. I don't love this. I'm going to talk about the thing that I love. I talked to one guy, and he was in program management for like a pharmaceutical company. He's like, John, I really don't like my job. And I'm like, okay, cool. What do you want to do about it? What do you love? He goes, I love playing guitar. And I go, okay, cool. Where would you love to work? And he goes, I've always dreamed about working for Spotify. I was like, okay. So you love guitar. You have this talent with guitar. You could share the talent and share things that are all about that world that I don't know about, or that people who love guitar can be attracted to. And all of a sudden, now, if he posts about that a lot of stuff, and he's a program manager that just so happens to love guitar, what kind of companies are going to start being attracted to him? Strangely enough, it's the companies that are into the music and what have you. It's the people who work at Spotify who also love music are going to see that he loves music too. And they're going to go, man, this guy's in a different industry, but like, he loves music and he's a program manager. We need a program manager. And there's the connection, right? So sometimes we don't see where these connections can come from, but they're incredibly powerful when you're building your network. You're attracting people into your world who are recruiters and other individuals who have the same likes and interests. And so, yeah, this is just a post I did. And notice the structure here, right? It's one sentence. I often get asked, John, how do I post content on LinkedIn if I have nothing to post? Right? It's usually I'm not yet enough. I'm not an expert yet. So there's this misconception, right? People say, I have nothing to post. They feel like they have nothing interesting enough to share because they don't feel like experts. And then you have this general fear of people being judged by others. And it's just what I feel like is a perfect storm. And so I believe we all have something super unique to share. Okay. I believe all of our points of view are super unique and worthy of being shared. And if you just follow your own personal energy, you start to uncover a lot of things. If you sit down and you post something about your current job and you go, man, I don't want to post about that at all. Well, that's a really good indicator for you to think about and say, I'm on the wrong path. And how do I get on the right path? And if you talk about the things you love over and over and over consistently, all of a sudden the right path finds you. You are not trying to find the path. The path finds you through the platforms like this. So let's see. Hashtags, we talked about that real quick. There are top hashtags. Do a Google search for LinkedIn's top 50 hashtags. What you will uncover is the top 50 hashtags, and they are the most trafficked hashtags. LinkedIn specifically, I have like a LinkedIn associate assigned to me. So there are, when you have a certain number of followers, what have you, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or, LinkedIn, they assign like account managers to you. And so they've told me directly that 3 hashtags on a post is about the maximum that you want to have. I take it a step further and say, I want to make sure that I have top hashtags, most trafficked hashtags on my profile. Here's top 25, innovation, 37 million followers. Ideally, LinkedIn is going to get to a point where the algorithm is smart enough to serve up the right type of content to you. Now on YouTube, their algorithms are very smart and Instagrams are very smart, and they serve up stuff that you likely want to see. Well, LinkedIn's not quite there yet. They're still early stages, but I know that they are moving towards hyper relevancy when it comes to the type of content, right? If I'm posting about real estate and you're like, I could give a crap about real estate. What I really care about is like this over here. Well, hopefully they're never going to share my real estate post with people who don't give a crap about it, because that keeps the stickiness on the platform and people coming around. So another great point about creating content on LinkedIn, if nothing else, if you're posting about things that are happening in your day or your job or what have you, the people who are liking your posts are prime candidates for you to reach out to. You've turned cold leads. You turn a sea of cold leads to a sea of possible warm leads that you can send outreach and coffee chats and get referrals and what have you. So when I click on the likes and the reactions, all of a sudden I can search through and say, Sarah Hoyt seems to like my posts a lot. Well, she is locating talent at Uber Advanced Technologies, self-driving cars. And Sarah, I reached out to her directly. This was like back in 2019. I'm like, hey, Sarah, what's going on? Let's have a chat. I see you like my post a lot. Boom. Instantly had an interview. Mike Yates, TEDx speaker. You start attracting like people who you're like, whoa, I want to be a TEDx speaker. Let me talk to Mike. How did he become one? What did it take? John Valentine, VP at American Express. Hey, why not? Let's have a chat. These are great opportunities for people. Reply to comments, create conversations. And remember that recruiting tends to go down in the comments section on posts, okay? That's it, everyone. That's it. So I'm gonna answer some of your questions right now. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's see. Let's see, John, here's a quote from Robert Greene that captures you. What we are matters. What you choose to be matters even more. Very grateful. Oh, thanks, Sudhi. Appreciate that so much. Debbie, how often should we leave comments on LinkedIn posts? I read LinkedIn like I was reading the newspaper. I'm reading people's posts. What's cool for me about it is it gets me out of my daily, we have like a daily cadence, especially when we're in our corporate jobs, we do the same crap every single day. And when I'm reading a LinkedIn post, all of a sudden it incites some thinking for me. Somebody in a different industry that has a different viewpoint or something very interesting to me. And I go, huh, and it makes me think. And then I create a comment, which then makes me think, wow, I could create another post about this. So it just creates this, your mental stimulation, if you will. And I think it's great for us to participate in that stuff. So I just look at it as like, I'm reading the news every morning and I'm participating every day. So don't worry about, a certain count of comments. Just comment as much as you feel like you want to comment. Let's see, information you continue to be. Oh, thanks, Thomas. I appreciate it. Let's see. This should be a recurring thing. Maybe going live on YouTube and stuff. Yeah, totally. Maybe we just do it on YouTube live. I'll send the community a bunch of notifications, and I'm trying to figure out what a cadence would be. So thanks so much for that. Let's see. When we apply to multiple job IDs in the same job function with some variations in the job description, we generally send the same version of the resume. Yes. How do you suggest to tweak the resume based on those variations, or do not tweak and keep the same version as the same organization? Okay. If it's the same organization, then use the same resume. The thing that cuts across everything is data. So just keep that in mind. Like if I have a data-centric achieved X by doing Y type of bullet point, then I really, me personally, I don't have many resume variations. I have one primary resume. I say, I'm a product manager. This is what I do. I do this. I don't do this. Even when recruiters call me, I always like to say, I appreciate you reaching out to me. And this is while I was like in the game, like in the thick of the game. I appreciate you reaching out to me. Really like what the company stands for and what have you, but that is not me. Okay, what is me is this. So be bold, push back, let somebody know I am this, I'm not that. And then they can help direct you in the right location. Right? They're trying to find you the perfect fit. And if some data product manager role came to you and you're like, oh my God, barf in my mouth, tell them I'm a user experience centric PM. I love workflows. If you put me in anything other than a workflow related PM role, I will fail. I tell them that. Another thing too at Amazon, this is an interesting data point, I guess, but if you apply to tons of different job types at Amazon, they will by default just like not even touch you. They're just like, this person doesn't even know who they are. We don't want to get into a recruiter competition of like one recruiter picking you up versus another. And so we're just like, hands off, you're just going to be just in the black hole. And so I highly recommend, if you're going to be recruiting or applying to one or two roles at a company, be very specific about what you want to apply for. If there are two program manager roles, great. If there's a sales role and a program manager role and another thing because you don't quite know where you fit, that is bad. And they're going to know. They're going to be like, they just give me 3 totally different resumes for 3 different type of functions. I'm so confused, and it'll be crickets. Let's see. Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, thanks for answering. Just a follow-up question.
Yeah.
If you're applying at multiple program manager positions within, say, for example, Amazon, it's still okay to apply at 5-6, even though the recruiters are different. Is that what you meant to say?
Wait, so say that again. Multiple roles at Amazon and what?
Is it if you're applying for multiple program manager positions at Amazon, but they are from different divisions, different recruiters? Is
Yeah.
that
Okay.
still
So even tread lightly on that. No, even if it's Google or Amazon or any other company, tread lightly. Only try to pick one or two things. If you apply to like 7 different roles, those recruiters are going to be like, I don't know, because the first point of contact is the person who gets the head count, right? They're gold on quota, but they don't want to mess up relationships with each other. So just tread lightly on it. Okay. Like 1 or 2, maybe 3 max. But like, if you apply to a lot, it's going to look weird.
Yeah, once those 3 get exhausted, then we can apply another 3.
Yeah. I mean, if you hear crickets for a while, okay, a month goes by, nothing, great. Withdraw, apply to 1 or 2 more somewhere else.
Great.
In the org. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. The value sharing. Alexis, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. This is gold. I appreciate that. As far I've been around this stuff a lot, guys. I try to, I try to deliver the heat. Hopefully, nobody's falling asleep. As far as overcome the lack of experience hurdle, how do we show in our profile our expertise skill level? Lack of experience is such an interesting one, guys. We have this weird concept in our society of like skilled versus unskilled labor, or experience versus no experience. I swear to you, I could teach you my product management job in 6 months. Okay. That is the reality of corporate America. It's absolute nonsense, right? You go to school your whole life and then you try to get into the workforce and they're looking for specialized skills. And any job you have, you can learn it in 6 months, because every role, even in the product management field, you go from one company to the next. I went from American Express to Amazon to SoFi, and every one of those companies did things in like a totally different way. I had to completely relearn everything as I joined. And within 6 months, all of a sudden, I'm ramped up, right? So everybody here, just remember that it is a gigantic game. Like, the biggest myth in our society is that you just need to have all this experience and what have you. No, really, we just need to communicate as much as we can about what we know is related to the role. If we don't have a lot of experience, okay, no problem. What can I do tomorrow to affect change in increasing my experience 1%? Okay, because 1% change in knowledge per day compounded for a year is a 3,600% change. How do I do that? One way is I do a 2-day certification or a 5-day certification. Right? Project managers get PMP certified all the time. It's a very valuable certification in the project management world. It leads to a lot of 6-figure jobs. Another thing you can do is you can post content, right? This whole psychology of I'm not yet an expert yet. Okay, well, how do I become an expert? I post a bunch of content. I say, here's what I'm learning. Here's what I'm learning. Here's what I'm learning. So if I'm aspiring to be a product manager, the best thing I can do is I can create a bunch of content on LinkedIn. Simple enough. I'm aspiring to be a product manager. I am not an expert. I'm not trying to prove to anyone that I'm as such. Here's what I'm learning today. I read this really interesting book on product, and here are the top 3 things I learned. And you know what? I'm going to tag 3 recruiters or 3 people who are product managers who post content a lot on my post. And I'm going to create a little visibility for myself. And then tomorrow, I'm going to say, I've been analyzing these 3 apps, and the worst experience is this one over here. And here's why. Here's why I believe it's the worst experience. And I wish and here's my recommendation of how they could change it. Or what some people do is really interesting. They do polls. Polls on LinkedIn do extremely well. A lot of user engagement that comes from those polls. So if you're thinking about creating content, it's a great way to possibly start. Very kind of like low committal type of scenario for yourself. And some people say design A or design B and why, and they just incite a conversation. Why do you like this one more than that one? And as a product manager, we're constantly thinking about like button flows, workflows, things. So engage the community in those type of things. All of a sudden, over a 12-month period of time, You get all these posts. You have a featured section on your LinkedIn profile. Tag those posts, connect those posts to your featured section. And then when a recruiter goes to your profile, they see your about section. I'm aspiring to be this. Here's all the books I've read. Here's all the knowledge I've created. Here's the community events I've gone to. And in doing so in a year, I'm 3,600% smarter on that topic than I was before. And then opportunities can come your way. So think about it that way. How to get started with content creation on LinkedIn as a grad student or early professional. Okay, so this is such a great question because people don't know where to start. Don't look at LinkedIn as a place where I need to get a job. There's utility in that for sure. Look at any content creation platform as a place you can express you. And if you don't know what that is yet, then all you do is you sit down and you ask yourself a question. What do I want to write about today? That is it. One question, very simple, not big picture. What do I want to write about today? If I have 5 different topics, if I'm a PhD student, do I actually want to write about that topic? And if I don't, great data point. Why the hell am I doing my PhD? So important to have that self-reflection. For me, I've gained so much clarity in my life for the past 6 years by creating content. I've literally could amass books of writing. Many things that I've written haven't even been shared online. I open up a Google Doc and I just mind dump on topics. And I create all these YouTube videos and I've engaged with the community for years too. And I've figured out something about myself. I figured out exactly what I want in life. That is it. And so if nothing else, content creation unlocks over time what you do and you do not want out of life, not what society does and does not want out of you. Let's see. Everyone, let's see. If a person is not working, still a person has to show the most recent. We talked about that one. Can you please tell us about use of hashtags? I think we talked about that one. Would you recommend Amazon as an employer? Very interesting topic. Thanks, Alex. So I don't believe that most companies have a company culture. I think that culture is team specific. So when I think about a lot of the media and press about Amazon that is poor, it comes from poor people. And I would say there's a lot of great people at Amazon and there's a lot of poor people at Amazon. Not poor, like not nice people. Let's put it that way. But that's the same at every organization. So I don't think you're immune from it. I think some companies do tend to have somewhat better cultures than others. But if you could work for a company with a terrible culture and have a great manager and really enjoy your experience, or be surrounded by 1 or 2 people that you feel energized to be at work with every day, and your experience will largely be pretty good. So my first 2 years at Amazon, as some of you know, terrible, truly terrible, like dumpster fire horrible. Coming home crying at night, like seriously, like full transparency, I would come home crying at night to my wife. Like, how could people be so absolutely horrible? And I got just put through the ringer, but you know what? I switched teams. I stayed on that team for 2 years. I don't know why I put myself through that personal hell. But it was like the devil I knew. And strangely, I was like grateful for the fact that I was even employed. And so like, even though I was going through hell, I was also commiserating with other people who were really good friends on the team who were going through hell too. And I was just thankful to like even have that job or even be getting paid as what I was getting paid. So like, I just took it, which sucked. I probably shouldn't have. But then I joined another team and it was a much better experience. Great people that I worked with. So same company, same building, same exact floor on the building, 180-degree difference in cultural experience that I had. And it was only due to the people that were on that team.
John, I hate to sound ignorant, but
no, please, nothing's ignorant, man. No questions.
well, I am ignorant because I don't know. So Okay, so I work in, the legacy field, right? My
Yeah, sure.
company is AAA, right? So
Yeah.
I'm an IT manager aspiring to be a director. I understand that operations world, but I'd be honest with you, I'd be interested to work more in a Microsoft, or because I work with those people, that looks like a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how to translate that or to what the job title, like product manager is kind of universal, application developer kind of universal.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the new companies, they don't have that IT of operations in Microsoft. Maybe they do. I don't see it. I don't know how to translate that into something with, like, for me, would be a leadership role
Yeah.
into the Manga or Fang companies. Is there a syllabus, or do I just need to go out and ask people, hey, how does this translate?
Okay. So what's your role today?
I'm an IT manager.
So IT manager. Okay. Got it. And so what is the most direct translation to IT manager at Fang or Matang or whatever you call them now?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my question. And I don't
Yeah, no,
know.
but do you know, like, have you looked at like Google
No,
or
that's
an
why I
Amazon?
said I prefaced
Oh,
it.
okay.
I'm ignorant.
Oh, no. Okay.
I don't know.
For just step one, do just a tiny bit of surface level research and kind of understand like where that translation point is, because the translation point at each company could be slightly different.
Yes.
And so, and one thing is like Microsoft tends to call product managers program managers. But if you were to hire a program manager at Amazon, they do not develop product. They are managing existing programs and data points for things that are already there.
Okay.
They're not creating new features. And so it's like a total mismatch in naming convention that gets people confused.
Yeah.
So if you find something and the naming convention is off, what we can do is we can say our title on our job.
Yeah.
But you can put the translates to dot this. And so the recruiter at a Matang is going to go, oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
So then I still have to do some research, or I have to.
So do a little research, find out some of the job descriptions, and anchor on one that is the most fitting, and then start crafting your resume around how some of these job descriptions are formulated. Yeah.
Maybe that's a good networking thing. Hey, reach out.
Yeah.
And how this?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's a good start, man. Like, it can feel overwhelming, just like a little 1% change. Like tomorrow, just do one task. Say, I'm gonna do 10 minutes of research. And the next day, I'm gonna reach out to one person, and then all of a sudden in a month, you've armed yourself with quite a bit of data points that can help you craft the resume that's gonna help you get in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
So yeah, of course, man. Let's see. What do we got here? I went to two. Okay. Follow up on your comment. Would you consider, what do you think about the skill badges through, let's see, is it Current Center? ETA for companies to respond. Balaji, in the current scenario, what is the average ETA for companies to respond on a resume? It's all over the board, really all over the board. It's hard to say. I wish I had a concrete answer for you. But I mean, if you haven't heard back in a few weeks, a month max, I would just say it's kind of like, that's a good trigger for you to know it's probably not happening. What do you think about the skill badges through LinkedIn, the one you take an assessment for? Okay, this is a really interesting question, Anna. What I think is going to happen in the education world, more and more people are saying, hey, I don't want to necessarily go to traditional education when I can take these courses online. The biggest gap is that our recruiting world and our hiring managers and everyone in this ecosystem, they have no way of validating non-traditional education. So that creates a gap. The reason why traditional education is still respected today is because there is a source of validity that you did some stuff. Now, you might have learned crap and you would have been drinking 24 hours a day for 4 years and sleeping, but I can do a search and see what your grades were and that you attended classes or not. the thing that's interesting about these badges, and I think you absolutely should use them, is that more and more as we move towards these like free education sources, there's going to be third parties that are going to come in and start to try and validate that knowledge of yours in a lot of different ways. And then it'll become more respected to take those things. So this is the first level of respected free online education that LinkedIn and some other platforms are trying to do. So please continue to use that. I think that's very valuable. Also, you can compound that with creating some posts and say, hey, I just took this course. It was super helpful. Here's 3 things I learned. Here's the link to the course. Tag the creator of the course. So now you're on their radar. That's a lot of different things that you can do in that world to bring attention to you. Let's see, to follow up your comment, would you consider project management certifications other than PMP since companies have moved away from traditional project management to agile? Yeah. Safe methodologies. Balaji, I took a bunch of like agile safe, scaled agile certifications. They hold a little bit of weight. I'd say here's where they hold more weight. Getting the nomenclature of that world is very important. So if you can do a certification in like agile product, and that's what tech companies are doing, that's what all the tech people are talking like. And when you do the interview, there's the subconscious triggers of like, oh, this person thinks like me. They're saying the same words. They're, we're the same, versus seeming like an industry outsider and using different words. So those certifications can be beneficial in that type of way. And you try to use those keywords on your resume and also the conversation during your interview. Let's see, a couple more questions, guys, and we'll call it a night. Okay. So let's see. I went through 2 interviews, an Amazon canceled loop interview mentioning the position is filled. Is it normal at Amazon? I found it weird. It is weird. I would agree with you. This can happen everywhere. This is not just an Amazon thing. There are people at different stages of the recruiting process. Some people come in, they seem like kind of good fits. Another person come in, they seem like an amazing fit. That person gets fast tracked to the interview, but they never know where it's going to go. And if it goes really well, and then you get to the 3rd round, all of a sudden it's just like, hey, we filled it up already. But you shouldn't, if you did well during the interview, as long as you didn't fail and they said it's not a no, you should reach out to the recruiter and find out if you can be recycled. That's what they call it at Amazon. It's a recycle. So
she said recruiter in her email, she did say that she did circulate my resume to all other departments because
okay.
my
Great.
first 2 interviews were good. So
that's amazing. Okay, great, Vanita. So just stay positive on it. It's not an uncommon thing it's not a thing that's just unique to Amazon. As long as you did well, Amazon's looking for talent just like everybody else. So just try to get through that virtual onsite.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Good luck with that. Let's see, Noah, maybe check out a bunch of open role descriptions at those companies to find where responsibilities overlap. Yeah, I think it was regarding our conversation earlier. Agree. Yeah, there you go. Jeff Gray was helping you out, man. Natty scoured Microsoft website. There's an IT section under the job fields that you can search on, right? So that's first step tomorrow. Check that out and then go from there. Let's see, Caitlin. I got into grad school for physician assistant, but I'm looking to go into tech. Any advice for someone with a background in the medical field? Yes, this is so important. Thanks for the question, Caitlin. Medical disruption is at the forefront of everyone in the tech community's minds. So sometimes people that are like stuck in the whole like medical world, they don't see how their skills could be facilitated in tech. But what tech wants is people who have the experience in the medical world to do those jobs. So yeah, tons of med tech out there. Absolutely, Noah. There's a lot of med tech companies in Boulder. There's a lot of med tech companies in Seattle. So just do some poking around, make a short list. Say who might have a role that seems like a pretty good fit. And then from there you say, okay, who from these companies are possibly active on LinkedIn? And then who from those companies are creating content on LinkedIn? Who could I possibly do some cold outreach or use some of these tactics today to have a 30-minute coffee chat with somebody who also believes something similar than to what I believe. So, you can try that. How do you manage to do all these different things when you are a great proponent of 8 to 10 hours sleep? Mandar, thank you for that question. That's a very interesting one. I go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. My wife and I and my son all sleep in the same bed. My son's 8 years old and he just likes snuggling up with us. And, he's only going to be little once. So, we welcome him in there as long as he wants to hang out for a while, because one day he won't want to hang out at all. But yeah, I go to bed at 9. Sometimes I read in bed a little bit, usually, either read in the morning or read at night. And I wake up at about 7. So I get a solid 10 hours of sleep. But I think what happens is I become hyper focused during the day. So from 9 to, 4:30 or so. I mean, I might go to the gym in the middle of there and have lunch or what have you, but I'm like on it. Like I ruthlessly prioritize my task list. I'm always like, what are the 3 most important things I can get done today that are going to move the needle the most for what I'm doing? Everything else is of no consequence. If I can get to them, great. I order them and I just boom, 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 boom. So I've gotten really efficient with my time. And thanks for the question. How do I attract art directors, marketing managers to reach out to me about design role at SaaS companies? Do I create posts that's relevant to them? Yeah, absolutely. Alexis, LinkedIn is a feed. You got to feed the feed every week. They want you to try to create like 1 or 2 posts a week. So what are the types of content? You could just, quickly draft up some notes. What are the types of content that I would want to create that are interesting to me? I don't have to come at this from an expert. Remember that. And just share your thoughts. What do you guys think? And if somebody's an asshole to you, just blow them off, right? You do tend to build a thick skin on these platforms. And you quickly realize we know inherently that not everyone is going to believe what we believe, right? But we don't care about those people. We care about attracting the people who believe what we believe. So just brush them off, blow them off. That's life. No one's ever going to be in total agreement of everything you say. I mean, for God's sake, I get like hate messages when I talk about positive things. People say, "Oh, you asshole." I'm like, "Thanks, man." Or "Your face is too close to the camera. Screw you." And I'm like, "All right, have a great day." You got to just brush it off. But anyway, creating posts relevant to them, tagging them, great idea. Do you see consultants make a transition into Amazon? If so, what types of roles? Consultants do very good at product management. A lot of product managers get hired out of consulting world because what do product managers do? They develop a strategy. And consultants, that's exactly what they do. They go into a situation, it's super ambiguous. They talk to the client, they develop a strategy, they develop KPIs. Same thing as a product manager. It's just product managers talk a little bit different way. They have different methodologies that they use to prioritize tasks. But at the end of the day, you can learn some of those things, but you make a great fit as a PM. Have you found any specific techniques for turning tech connections into investors for your real estate work? Yes, Daniel, LinkedIn, as I had said, has changed my life on so many levels. We've raised over $8 million from the LinkedIn community for the real estate projects that we're working on, and directly through LinkedIn. So it's been a serious blessing, and obviously a lot of it's a heavy burden to carry, right? When you have people who are entrusting you with their money, and so we don't take that lightly. And but LinkedIn has been the primary source for how I was able to exit corporate and get into this. It was just an experiment. We tried to raise capital for one deal. It fundraised in 4 days. And we said, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's do another one. We did another one. And after 30 homes, we were like, okay, we really got something here. Thanks for the question, Daniel. I would add to post your work on Dribbble.com and Behance.com. Yeah, if you're a designer, absolutely. Behance is amazing. If you haven't checked out Behance, I like to just geek out on Behance.com a lot. It's like really cool designs from people all over the world in their profiles. So totally agree. Thanks, Noah. Let's see. Would you recommend Amazon as an employer for a mid-career transition? Alex, absolutely. I mean, Amazon, I had a 50-50 experience, but Amazon changed my life. So many elements, like the LinkedIn thing changed my life. The Amazon thing, when I joined, I joined when the share price was $800 a share. I didn't know it was going to grow. It gave me enough of a nest egg to say, okay, I can actually step out on my own and not fear like I need to worry about money for the next, for the next while. So I learned a lot of skills, right? Even if the stock price, like that aside, right? If it's not a money thing, there are skills you're going to learn at every company that you can take with you. What I learned at Amazon is how to be highly analytical. I learned how to create data and think about how to get data, even if I didn't have it. I learned how to create what's called a working backwards document. Everyone at Amazon creates these things called a press release, PRFAQ. So it's a press release for some future thing that you want to do, and it's written in present tense. So it's today, John and this team have released Alexa, and Alexa's revolutionizing the world. The VP of Alexa has stated, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. It's going to change everybody's lives. Whatever. And you write it that way. And then people go, oh, that's a really cool press release. How do you get there? I want that. And then you create a bunch of FAQs. So I learned how to peer into the future, think about something in the present tense about what I wanted out there, and then think about all the questions that I needed to answer so I can create a roadmap to get there. And that has also allowed me to think about my own journey. It's given me the tools to actually get out of corporate, which is kind of ironic. So everything's a learning experience in life, right? Do I recommend it? Sure. Why not? Jump into it. Even if you don't like it for a while, right? This has been the most informative live I've ever been a part of. Thanks, Alexis. I appreciate that. Shakib, what's going on, man? I didn't even see you on here. How's it going, man? Oh yeah. It's the right Shakib. John, could you quickly explain the difference between a KPI and a metric from a big company perspective? KPI, metric, same thing, right? It's a metric. KPI, it's a data point, some kind of direction. There are primary KPIs, or secondary KPIs, or tertiary KPIs. Okay. Primary KPIs are usually attached to some like major leadership goal, or just think about KPIs as segmented. Okay. There's ones that only leadership is going to care about. They're the key directional indicators of the health of your organization. So they're going to be looking at those three things every day. Okay. How many users do we have? Great. Users are going up, user tracking up. New registrations are tracking up. It's the main thing we care about, or revenue related to new user registrations. Awesome. It's usually some revenue driver. Middle of the road KPIs or metrics are things that maybe you care about as a product manager, not necessarily relevant, right? You care about how many clicks to a certain button on a page. Now your CEO could care less, right? You have this little hyper focus, and you're trying to tweak that thing. You're the CEO of that little thing there, and you have a bunch of page views and other submetrics and drop-offs that are happening. So that's your world, but CEO doesn't care. And then you have like tertiary metrics, like the customer service team might have a contact success KPI, right? And then their leadership team is looking at that. And that person might just have like a particular customer success metric that's only relevant to that individual, so you can kind of think about it that way. But metrics, KPIs, same, I mean, same thing really. Okay. Hey, everyone. Well, that concludes the night. I'll make sure that I message everyone and give you all of the recordings. And what else? I can't think of anything else. Give you the recordings. I'll go to bed in an hour. That's it. Hopefully you found it helpful. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Victor. Thanks, Vanita. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. Thank Priyesh. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
You too.
All right. We'll see everybody.